Hello and welcome to the channel. Welcome to the last tutorial of the year. Thank you for all your support towards my channel. So on today's tutorial, I'm going to share with you how to make this beautiful dress with side gathers. So if it's your first time viewing my channel, please hit on the subscribe button. So let's dive right into today's video. So first, here is my pattern, and I've gone ahead to add half-inch round, and at the back I added half-inch on top, and this is the lower part of my dress, and I'm going to label it as C, meaning center, the side going towards the gown, and S, the side going towards the hip. So now I'm going to be cutting this into 3 parts, so you can divide yours into as much as you want. It's just the slash and spread method that I'm using for this part of my dress. So I'll just go ahead and cut it into 3 parts this way, and I'm just going to draw a line connecting upwards. So after doing this, you're just going to go ahead to label your pattern 1, 2 and 3, and if you have more, go ahead to label it also. So I'm just going to cut it out. The reason why I labeled it is so that I don't misplace each pattern. Now I'm going to place it on the fabric. So the part labeled number 3, which is the side, is going to be placed on a closed part, and the part which has number 1 is going to be placed on an open side. So the reason why I'm doing this is because by the side of the dress there won't be any opening at all. So now I'm just going to pin it out, and after doing that I'm going to go ahead to cut out this pattern. So you can go ahead and measure the space you have in between this pattern, just to make sure that your dress is equal, or your pattern, the space in between there is equal. So after doing that, I'm just going to go ahead to trace it round, and when I'm cutting out, I'm going to be adding half-inch on top because we're going to use it to join the upper part of the dress. So now after tracing out, I'm just going to go ahead to cut out my pattern. So when I'm cutting down, you notice that I left a space at the lower part. So you notice that this pattern has like a shape at the lower part, like a V. So we'll also be doing that. Go ahead and notch the center so that you know where the side is. And after that, I'm just going to go ahead to unpin my pattern, and I'm going to open it up for you to see what I have. So by the time you're done cutting, this is what you're going to have, and this is the part that I notched, and you're going to gather it on the waist side of your dress. So, and I have 2 pieces that I cut out for this also, and I have the same exact thing. So now moving up to this part, and we're going to go ahead to join it. So you're going to be joining it with half-inch. Remember, you added half-inch when you were cutting out the pattern, so go ahead and do that. And I went ahead to also cut out a facing for this fabric. So I don't have enough fabric to use the seam to turn it, so I cut out a black lining to turn the facing, to use as a facing for this dress. So now I also cut out on the other part, and on the yoke for the front, I'm going to go ahead to stitch the 2 sides, and after that I'm going to go ahead to notch the part that is going towards this that we have at the center, so that by the time I'm done sewing, I'm going to know the part facing towards the armhole and the part facing towards the bust. So here also is my back pattern, and this is what I have. So now I'm going to place this my pattern, and I'm going to go ahead and notch the part that where my yoke is going to start. So this is the point, and I will go ahead to notch it, and I'm going to go ahead to stitch up my yoke for the back, or the sleeve for the back also, and place. So this is the front part after I'm done stitching, and I've attached the sleeve. So I'm going to go ahead to place place the lining that I cut out for the facing, and I'm going to use it to turn it. So also I'll go ahead and iron it. So I turned the sleeve of this dress and I'm going to use it to turn the sleeve of the front. So to turn it, I'm going to place it in this way and wrap it and stitch it with 1/2 inch, and I'll go ahead to stitch the side, and I'll go ahead also to repeat this process for the side, the other part of the sleeve also. Put the front part of the sleeve at inside the back sleeve and then stitch. So after stitching, I noticed that I have this part of the upper part popping out, and I'm going to go ahead to correct it by stitching it out. So this is the part that I'll be stitching out. So after stitching, this is what I have. And next, I'm going to place the back to the sleeve of the back. Like, I'm going to take the body of the back and I'm going to stitch the sleeve to it. So now remember that part that you notched, you're going to go ahead to place it on it and you're going to pin it down. So watch me as I do that. So this is what I have at this part, and I'm going to also repeat it for the other side of the back of the dress. Go ahead and pin it at that notched part. So after doing that, you'll be introducing the facing for the back also to turn the back pattern. So this is the facing that I've cut out. I'm going to place it on it and I'll stitch all the way around it. At this point, go ahead and repeat this for this part also. Place the facing and make sure that your sleeve is in between the facing and the main fabric. So after turning out, this is what I have, and I went ahead to pin out my zip part, and I'm going to pin this and I'm going to insert my body measurement on the upper part of the dress. So I'll go over to the machine and I'm going to stitch the sides. So after stitching it, this is what I have. We'll be introducing the lower part. This is the center and this is for the side, for the back, sorry. And I'm going to go ahead to notch where the zipper part is going to be. For the center, I'm going to be introducing the upper side of the dress, which is this part, and I added 1/2 inch on top and below, and I'm going to go ahead to attach this with 1/2 inch at both sides. Going over to the back pattern, I'm going to stitch up this side and leave space for my zip, and I'm going to go ahead to also bring the sides, and I'm going to be joining it with 1/2 inch this way. So this is what I have, and now I'm done joining. This is what I have at this point. Now I'm going to place both of them together, and that 1 inch sewing allowance we added at the hip area, I'm going to stitch it out. I'm going to stitch it up. So after stitching, you're going to measure what you have. Make sure that what you have round is your waist circumference plus your zipper allowance. So now I'm going to be placing it together, stitching it together. Go ahead to fold this, find the center of the upper part, and also place this and find the center of the upper part also. So after finding the center, go ahead to notch it and make sure that all the joining that you have on the dress meets together. Now you're going to place the notch at the upper part and the notch at the lower part. Go ahead to join your skirt with 1/2 inch. So after joining, this is what I have, and I'll go ahead to bring up this is for the side, and now you're going to join it to this part of the dress. And remember, the notched part is going to be at the notch part of the flay. So measure what you have at the center of the skirt and go down by 1/2 inch at this part. That 1/2 inch is for joining allowance. So measure your skirt, your actual length of the dress from the waistline, because you're going to be attaching this to it. And remember that this dress has like a V at the lower part. So I folded my skirt into two to actually do this, because by the time you're done cutting it out, you're going to be having it on both sides. Then add 1 inch that you're going to use and fold up your dress. So you can go ahead and fold it up if you can, or you can use a bias to run it. So it's advisable to use a bias of the same color. It's going to be easier for you to do so. So I'll go ahead and place the other fabric on it, and I will trace out the same shape on it at once, since it's going to be the same at the side of the dress. So now I'm going to go ahead to cut it out following that line. So after cutting it out, this is what I have, and I'm going to start attaching it to the skirt. Now to attach it to the skirt, go ahead and open it up this way. You're going to be sewing a gather stitch at the upper part, and now I'm going to place that joining at the side with my notched part, and I'm going to sew like a gather stitch, or if you don't want to sew like a gather stitch, you can go ahead and pleat it all the way. So when you get to that point that you have joining, you're going to stop. So I forgot also to turn up the lower part of my dress, so I'm going to go ahead to do it also, and I'm going to connect it down to the other part of the dress. So after sewing this, I'm going to bring it to you to show you what it looks like. So you'll be repeating this also on two sides. So I'm done stitching this part, and this is what I have. So I'll go ahead and repeat the other side, and I'll be attaching my zip to my dress. So after sewing, this is the final look of the dress. If you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please hit on the subscribe button. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and join us in our next video. Thanks.